We're going to learn about percent increase or decrease today. So it's basically percent change. Before we start, let's go over the do now. So let's just write a ratio first. So we have two different units here, miles to minutes. So I'm going to put miles to minute. So we have 1/4 miles and every 15 minutes. I know we have fraction in the fraction. Fraction in the fraction, like for example, 1/4 over 2/3. If you see fraction in the fraction, it is called complex fraction. And you can just write it's fraction in fraction. All right. So now what we want to know, what is our walking rate in miles per hour? So miles per hour, 1 hour, right? But we want to know, like, because as you see two different units here, so can I just change this to number of minutes? How many minutes in 1 hour? It is 60 minutes, right? So now we're going to look into these two rates. And you're going to walk in the same speed. So these two ratios should form proportion. So now let's just find how many, let's find this number, what is her walking rate in miles per hour. So now 1/4 mile in 15 minutes. So now how many minutes per 60 minutes? How many miles per 60 minutes? You can times by 4, right? If you times by 4, 15 times by 4 is going to be 60, and 1/4 times by 4, it's also, you can find a number when you do the same thing. So it's going to be 1/4 times by 4, which is 1. So the answer is going to be 1 mile. If you want to do cross multiplication, you can also do that. So let's do cross multiplication. Let me just rewrite it. 1/4 over 15. And x, because we don't know how many miles per 60 minute, right? So let's do cross multiplication. Multiply these two. So I'm going to write it 1/4 times by 60 and 15 times by x. These two. So 1/4 times by 60, 60 over 1. So there are 15 fours are in 60. So now if you simplify it, 15 is equal to 15x. So x is equal to 1. So 1 mile. A percent of change, the definition of a percent of change is the percent that quantity changes from the original amount to the new amount. So the percent of change is basically you compare the change to the original amount, right? So just simply remember this. You compare change to the original. How to find the change? Change, you can find change by subtracting a new amount from the original. So for example, if 2 is changed to 5. So what is a change? Change here, like 2 to 5, you have to subtract from 5 to 2, right? So you're going to subtract from new amount. You're going to subtract original from new. So 2 is original, and 5 is new number, right? So to find the change, which is 3, how you find 3? You subtract from new, you subtract original from new, right? So you subtract original from the new amount. And you compare these value to original or new. You want to see the change, like these change compared to the original number. So you have to compare that to original. This part you have to try to remember. So if I find the percent of change, it's going to be, I just found the change, right? This guy is a change because 2 is changed to 5, so it's increased by 3, right? So now I'm going to put new minus original and compare this to original, which is 2. So now if I simplify this, it's going to be 3 over 2. So what is it? 3 over 2, it's 1.5, right? 1.5. We know that. We practice how to convert this decimal to percent. You move a decimal how many times? You move a decimal twice to the right. 1, 2, and you have to put 0. So it's going to be 150%. So it's 150% increase if 2 is changed to 5. Saturday to Sunday, from Saturday to Sunday. So Saturday is going to be original, and Sunday is new. This is original and this is new, right? So now we want to find the percent of change. So what was the definition of percent of change? Percent of change. So you compare change to the original. So change from Saturday to Sunday, so you have to subtract like 2 to 4.5. Is it increase or decrease, by the way? It's increased. It's increased by what? 2.5, right? So now let's just put, if you already find the change of 2.5, you can just put 2.5. If you want to use that, use the definition, let's use it. So we are going to subtract this original from new, and you're going to compare these two, the starting number, which is original. So 4.5 minus 2 over, you compare this to 2, so it's going to be 2.5 over 2. So now we just find the percent of change. Oh, you don't see the percent sign, right? So let's just change this to, let's just simplify it. 2.5 divided by 2, which is 1, 2, and 5, and decimal 2, 4. I know some of you already found this is 1.25 and 5. So 1.25 is going to be the answer, 1.25. Now, how many times do we need to move a decimal to rewrite, to convert this decimal to fraction? You have to move decimal twice to the right. So the answer should be 125%. So it's increased by 125%. I want to go over some of the questions. I'm gonna go over 9 and 11. Okay, so let's look at 9. So 75 people to 25 people. 75 to 25. Is it increase or decrease? It is decrease. So now 75 to 25. So this is original and this is new. And based on the definition, we are going to find percent of decrease for percent of change. You're going to put change on the top, and you're going to put the original, not the new value. So now, let me just put it on the top. So what is a change from 75 to 25? So you're going to subtract from the new number, which is 25, minus 75 over, you compare that to original, which is 50. So now if you subtract this, it's going to be negative 50 over 75. Let's simplify this. It's going to be, so it is going to be 66% decrease.